Hi, it's Grandad here. I'm going to tell you a story. And I've got my friend here with me. It's Big Rabbit. Little Rabbit has disappeared. Now, I think Finn knows where Little Rabbit is, but he's not saying. Maybe Little Rabbit's doing some exploring. Anyway, Big Rabbit, you sit over there, and then you can remind me of the story if I forget the lines, because I'm always good at doing that. Anyway, you remember I told you that somehow the ump had always looked after our family? Well, I didn't tell you when the ump first appeared to us, and now I'm going to do that. And it was a long, long time ago, and it was to my father. That's your great-granddad. He was called Ludwig, and he had that strange name because he was born in a country a long, long way from here called Hungary. And he travelled all over the world in his time. But when he was 14, he and his father had a big argument. And his father wasn't a very kind man, so he threw him out and told him to go away. So he went first to Italy, and then he went to Austria, and then he went to what was then called Czechoslovakia, and then he ended up in France. Now, you both know where France is, don't you? But the other countries are different. Maybe Mummy and Daddy can show you where they are on a map, and then you'll know where they are. Anyway, the story concerns him. Oh, I've got a photograph of him here. Look. That's a picture that Nikki will recognise, because that's her in the middle. And on one side is Grandad, your great-granddad, I mean, who's Ludwig. And on the other side of Nikki is Francis. Now, Ludwig and Francis were my mummy and daddy. They were very sweet people, and I liked them a lot. Anyway, after Ludwig went to France, he had to join the French army because there was a war going on. And wars are not very nice things. Lots of people get killed, lots of people get hurt. And Ludwig got hurt. He was in a battle in the north of France, and he got injured. So he was shipped out of the battlefield and went back to the south of France, where his base was. And he lived in a tent down there. Anyway, the war got over fairly quickly in France, and he was stranded in the south and didn't know what to do when a big ship appeared in the bay, and it anchored half a mile off the bay, off the coast. And all the people in his camp said, "Hey, it's a ship that comes from England. Let's go to it." But they didn't have any boats. All the boats had been damaged. So they had to swim, and they swam out to the boat. But Ludwig was very, very poorly because he'd got injured and he was still unwell. And he soon got into trouble swimming out to the boat because it's a long way, half a mile. It's about as far as, let's see, one end of our field to the other end where the animals are. Anyway, he got into big trouble very quickly, and he started floundering in the water, and he thought he was a goner. And then, suddenly, there was a lot of splashing just behind him. And a big elephant's trunk came up and wrapped itself round him. And he was being held up by the ump. And the ump was swimming like mad. Have you ever seen umps swim? They can swim very, very well. It's very surprising because umps are big, big, heavy creatures, but they can swim so well. And he swam with Ludwig in his trunk out to the boat and lifted him up onto the deck with his big trunk and put him down. And that was how your great-grandfather came to England. If it hadn't been for the ump turning up, he wouldn't have made it to England. And I wouldn't be here. And Your mummies wouldn't be here, Jessica and Nixie wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be here either. So that's how the ump started influencing our family. Sadly, Ludwig couldn't say thank you to the ump and even see him disappear behind the tree. Because as you know, in the middle of the sea there aren't very many trees.